Welcome to Vanran10 on sports. Okay, so I've been watching the NCAA tournament, and I've been noticing a few commercials. Jerry Rice, I think, is doing one of them. NCAA, there's kind of been a controversy of should they pay their college athletes money, actual money. You know, because the colleges make billions and billions of dollars every year off of the student athletes that play these sports, especially off of NCAA football and NCAA basketball. So the NCAA is kind of doing these, how do you want to say them? I'm guessing they're probably going to be more propaganda type films. I'd probably equate them to propaganda films. Basically what the NCAA wants you to do is they want you to go to one of their websites, and basically they want to tell you that the NCAA student athlete is getting paid with an education. Now that's all well and good for the ones that won't go pro, understandably, and some of the smaller sports that really don't generate any revenue anyway. But the problem is a lot of those kids are not scholarship players. They are actually paying for their education, or their families are paying for their education, or they'll have to pay for their education later on in life because of student loans. So the fact of the matter is, they are getting an education, but a college degree doesn't guarantee a job. College degree doesn't guarantee a good paying job. It definitely does not guarantee you a successful career, even in the chosen field that you are applying to. So the NCAA is trying to basically tell us that it's like the student athlete has other opportunities that the colleges are giving them. They are giving them the education. They are giving them the tools to go forward with their careers in the future to pursue their dreams. Okay, I have a problem with this. First off, the NCAA, those schools make billions, not millions, billions of dollars each year off of their student athletes. The scholarships don't go to every single student athlete. They go to a select few student athletes who have the abilities in the chosen sport that they get the scholarship to. So most student athletes that you see are not scholarship players. They are not getting a free ride. The NCAA wants you to believe that the education is enough, or that they want you to believe that the scholarship is enough. To me, it's wrong, especially for the two big sports, which are football and basketball. Those two sports exploit those kids tremendously. There is a ton of money being made just off of those two sports. And it's completely unfair that the colleges get to benefit and those players don't get a little something. Now, I'm not saying you got to pay these kids thousands and thousands of dollars, but it'd be nice to give them a little bit of extra money, or not punish them so much for getting a helping hand here and there with a few $100. These kids work their butts off, and their students, and their athletes. They're trying their best to make it through. To me, I don't see a little bit of a problem with especially the two sports that generate all the revenue sharing that money with those kids. You know, and you can do it on like a, you know, this kid's a starter, so he makes a little bit more. This kid is a bench player that really doesn't even travel with the team on road games, just dresses at home games. And you just give them a little bit of extra as well. It doesn't have to be a ton of money, but I'm sure that the student athletes would appreciate a little bit of money in their pockets for helping generate revenue that is in the billions of dollars for the NCAA and for these colleges. Now, a lot of these kids that do this, they don't even get the degree, because a lot of the ones that really leave or a lot of the ones that are really good that we know about, sometimes they'll leave in their junior year. They'll leave early to go to the pros. NCAA basketball players, they basically, if they're really good, they're one and done. Only because the NBA tells them you at least got to have 1 year in college before you can come into the NBA, or 1 year of pro experience maybe somewhere else. I mean, because there are kids now, they don't want to go to college, so they'll go overseas and play basketball for a year and then come back. But at least they're getting paid, because when they go overseas, they do get money for that. Italy will pay them, or China, or wherever they go to play basketball. So basically, what the NCAA is basically trying to put their spin on it, and they're trying to tell you it's like these kids technically do get paid in an education. And I get it, an education, that's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of, extra knowledge. But, there's also nothing wrong with having a few dollars in the pocket so that maybe you can, go get yourself, a fast food meal at the end of the day. Grab yourself a taco or a burger or something. There's nothing wrong with that either. And when these schools generate billions, and we're going to focus, the big two are the NCAA football and NCAA basketball. Those are the ones that generate all the revenue. Let's face it. I mean, NCAA baseball, it's not a revenue generator. Lacrosse may generate more revenue in the future just because the younger generation seems to gravitate more towards lacrosse and soccer. So maybe someday those two sports will generate more revenue. So now you could be looking at a point where maybe in the future you have 4 major sports that are generating revenue for these colleges, and these kids are still only getting scholarships. Education, that's nice, but they make millions off of selling jerseys. Each college makes a lot of money off of selling the jerseys that have they have the numbers or the names on the back of these jerseys of these kids. So they're basically saying, hey, you're a really good college player, and I know that it's like a bunch of people will buy the merchandise with your name on the back, our college on the front, but the college will get the money. So let's say you sell 100,000 of a jersey, and these jerseys are not cheap. Even the cheapest jerseys are like $50 a piece. Those are the cheap knockoff, junk ones, but they're still $50 to $65 a piece. You sell 1 million of these things, and I don't know jersey sales. Don't sit there and say, oh, your numbers are way off, because I don't know. I'm just going with a big number. I guarantee you Middle Tennessee State probably hasn't sold 1 million jerseys yet in their lifetime of being a college school. But all I'm saying is if you sell 1 million jerseys with that kid's name on it at $50 a piece, that's $50 million. Generated for the NCAA, the school, whatever. Let's say that kid's in college for 2 or 3 years where he's really, really good and he is the shining star and everybody has to have his jersey. The kid doesn't get that money. The kid doesn't get to share in it, but he gets to walk around campus, he gets to walk around the state and see all these people wearing his number with his name on the back, and he doesn't benefit in any way. Now the NCAA women's tournament generates a little bit of money, not quite as much for basketball, but there is gonna come a time where I think where you're gonna have 4 major sports that'll generate revenue, and I think NCAA football, basketball, lacrosse, probably in about 10 to 15 years might be a decent generator of revenue, and same with soccer. The younger generation likes those 2 games a lot more than they like football and basketball. But those of us that love football and basketball are only going to be 10 years older, and we're still going to watch those sports. The younger generation will watch those other 2 sports, and there could be a time where there is a big amount of money going into the NCAA, into those colleges. Those kids need to share in that money, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but giving them a little bit of extra to take care of these kids and let them maybe even take care of their families. Maybe they send a little bit back home to take care of, to help their family pay some bills, depending on what the situation is. Could also benefit them greatly. So the NCAA wants you to believe that the education is enough. Not necessarily. There are people, I have a regular 9-to-5 job. I work in retail, and I don't have a college education. I graduated high school, that's all I got. And that's what I was qualified for, but I make pretty good money. I've been there a long time. But there are people that work in that same building doing the same job I do with college educations who make a lot less than me. Which is to say, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because a college education does not guarantee success later in life. It does not guarantee a good paying job. It gives you a better chance of getting a good paying job, but it is not a guarantee. So to tell these kids, it's like, well, you have a scholarship and you're going to get a degree, so you're going to be fine. Not necessarily, because you may get out there and the degree that you got is in a field that you just don't want to work in because you tried working in it, and it's like, when you're a kid, you don't really know everything. I mean, think back to when you were 17, 18, 19 years old. Did you really know what you wanted to do with your life? Or did that change a few times, before you finally found your way? These kids are the same way. They're going to get a degree in a field that they thought they wanted to do, and then, of course, they can't use it because they got out into that job market, and it was either a tougher job market to get into than they thought, or it was just not a job that they wanted to do. Once they got in there, they said, I do not want to do this for the rest of my life. I mean, Marvin Demov he was a lawyer. He was the agent for John Elway and Dan Marino. When he came out of college, he had a law degree. He started up being a lawyer while he was a young man. Well, what he decided is when he became a defense attorney, he had some of his people, after he had beat the rap for them, basically confessed to him at what they did. It's like, thank you for getting me off, but I really did it. So Marvin Demoff basically says, well, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. That's 8 years worth of college down the drains. Now, he turned it into a successful career as an agent, but that's 8 years of college, 8 years of his life that he had dedicated towards being a lawyer. And then he just decided, I don't want to do this. How much money did that cost? Well, think of it the same way for these college kids. They're paying a lot of money, even if they're getting a scholarship. They may be doing it in a field that they don't end up working in 10 years from now. So for the NCAA to sit there and say that the education is the most important thing, it's a good thing, but it's not the most important thing, because not necessarily are the kids going to use what you've taught them later in life, because they may not apply it, because the career that they thought they wanted turned out not to be what they thought it would be. So the general knowledge and anything else you can pick up elsewhere. You don't have to pay $35,000 to pick up that extra knowledge. I mean, heck, you could watch the History Channel and you could get it off the internet. You could Google a lot of things and learn more than I ever did in school. I'll tell you, I've learned more from the History Channel and Google than I've ever learned in school. So pay these kids. Give them a little bit of extra. I'm not talking a lot of extra money. You don't have to give them millions and millions of dollars. Make it straight across the board. Don't leave any wiggle room for, it's like trying to, like Michigan and Ohio State are fighting over the same player, and Ohio State says, well, I can pay you more than what Michigan will pay you. No. It's all a flat fee across the board. If you're a starter, you make this much. If you're a bench player, you make this much. If you're just a guy who dresses on home games, you get this much, but you do still get a little something. And it basically, the revenue is going to trickle down from there. If your sport doesn't make any TV revenue, really doesn't make a whole lot of money for the colleges, then you're probably not going to get a whole lot of money. But you should still share in whatever profits are there, because you are helping them earn whatever little bit of money that they're making. You are helping them earn it. So even if they only throw you, $5-10, let's say you're a college swimmer at a Division II school. Hey, you're still on the team. You're still helping them generate. Let's say there's some local TV deal that pays a few bucks. You should still share in it a little bit. There's no reason not to pay these kids a little bit of money. They are helping you generate billions of dollars for the colleges. So, with all that being said, don't fall for the hype. Don't go to that little thing that Jerry Rice is trying to send you to, that it's like the education and this is the opportunities that they're being given. No, they should get money. They should get real cash, not just some piece of paper later that they may not get and they may not even apply to them later in life. So with all that being said, pay these players. They've earned it. They worked their butts off. They're the ones we're watching. I don't care about the ADs. I don't care about anybody else. I watch those kids play, and that's who everybody else watches. Pay them. That all being said, to the troops, past, present, and future, thank you for the freedom.